which is 0.3%, which is absolutely absurd. I mean, we had the worst snowfall and worst February, I don't know, in 30 or 50 or 100 years. Yeah, they got to be kidding me. But, you know, they can't control themselves. They have to lie about everything. And that's why the American people are fed up. I just hope they follow through and get rid of these people. And there's no guarantees for that. We get rid of them, let's hope we get people who do something constructive for America.
Well, just like they reported for automobile sales for February. I mean, how can that work when you have all that snow?
It doesn't work.
Yeah.
You're lying.
I know. Unless they're beginning to count world figures. But
You got to be kidding me. Europe had the heaviest snows in 100 years.
That's right. Even China had snow.
I mean, I'm watching, they just called a soccer game this last weekend in Barcelona because they had a heavy snowfall. Barcelona is in southern Spain.
Unbelievable.
Now, it's not at Gibraltar, and it can get cool there. And it can get cool along the Algarve in Portugal, which is nearby. Well, not that far away. It's an hour and a half from Marbella. I know I used to live there. And they never have snow. Never. And the coldest temperature I've ever seen in either of those three cities, which would be Albufeira or Faro, Marbella, Malaga, or in Barcelona, is like 35 to 38 degrees at night. I mean, if you go north in Spain, Madrid is on a plain, and the wind blows across there. It's freezing. Judy? I needed a 3:30.
Unbelievable. Well, here's this question anyway, Bob. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Glenn Beck did a piece. This is in from Ryan. Glenn Beck did a piece yesterday on a Catholic priest from the 30s named Coughlin. Do you know anything about this priest and if he was good or not? Ryan had the understanding he was against the idea of a U.S. central bank and socialist government, but Beck seemed to indicate the opposite of the socialism issue. Ryan realizes that communists specifically targeted the Catholic Church because of its power structure and command that had over so many people at the time. So maybe it is possible that this priest was simply a communist infiltrator.
Glenn Beck should be taken off television. He's a liar and a despicable person. Father Coughlin was the head of Social Credit. I never went to one of their rallies because the zenith of his popularity was during the 1930s and into the 40s, and it waned as the war went on. What he had been preaching had been true. He was very anti-communist, as was Gerald L.K. Smith in those days. Smith was labeled an anti-Semite, and I won't comment on it. You know, I never heard Smith speak. I heard lots of Coughlin speeches, and the Catholic Church was under tremendous pressure at that time. And if you remember, during that period, there were street fights going on in Germany between the Bolsheviks and the Brown Shirts. Well, as you all know, the Brown Shirts won, and the Bolsheviks all fled, and they fled to Moscow. And the speeches of Father Coughlin were definitely anti-communist and definitely very pro-American. So I don't know where Mr. Beck gets off talking about it. I can remember it because, you know, I lived during the 1940s, and people were very aware Father Coughlin. And after he had done all that, the Catholic Church put him in a position in Illinois where he was then forbidden, after the war was over, this was in the late 1940s, he was forbidden to continue by the Church to speak about social credit, which is what it was called, and anti-communism and things like that. And they effectively shut him up because they said they were going to excommunicate him. So I do know a lot about Father Coughlin.
Another question comes in. This is Tom. Real estate markets are California, Arizona, Florida, and so forth, but which are the best in the horrible lot? Thank you for...
Texas.
Texas is the worst?
They've made out the best, I think. And the state is, compared to others, is certainly solvent from a state and a local viewpoint for the most part. So Texas is prepared well. Most other states have not. I saw a piece this morning I put in the IF about Idaho. They got terrible problems. And, it's just incompetence. These people don't, they listen to everything that comes out of Wall Street and the government. And of course, both of them lie about everything. Wall Street's there to fleece you, and the government's there to perpetuate themselves in power. So they're never going to tell you the truth, at least under the present type of environment that we have politically, and that includes both parties. So I think that, well, first of all, California is the 7th largest economy in the world. And they're broke. They're going to have to lay off millions of state workers. Millions. And they're going to have to cut pensions probably by 2/3. And they're going to have to either start collecting taxes from illegal aliens or kick them out of the country. I mean, one of the major problems in California, and I lived there 36 years, I know, and I left for this reason. They don't have the revenue. And the revenue is not there because there are millions of people who don't even file. And not, if you don't file for state, well, you don't file for federal either. And so California's doomed. I think Las Vegas is going to become a ghost town. I mean, I talk to people in Las Vegas frequently, and they say, you have no idea. Some of the casinos have shut their games down during the week. They're only open on the weekend. And what are we going to give people unemployment indefinitely? 100, 200, 300 billion every 3 months or something? It's crazy.
How bad do you think all these states that have opened up their own gambling little casinos and everything, how much impact do you think that had on Vegas?
Lots. The money flowed between 2003 and 2007. There was a moderate flow in 2001 and 2. And then they had good years from 96 to 2000, through 2000. And so they had it pretty good in Las Vegas. But corporations have taken over Vegas. It's not the way it used to be. And they've ruined it.
Yeah, they did.
I mean, you want to go to a show, it's $100, $150. You've got to be kidding me. You can watch it on television. I mean, the odds against you are 18 to 1 on the machines. The blackjack tables with multiple decks are 20 to 1. And on and on and on. You can't win. And, you know, they take card counters like me and they throw me out. But they're doomed. There's other cities that have gambling. They're doomed. It just isn't going to happen anymore. Because the discretionary income is not going to be there. People are not getting raises. And then you get at the bottom of the totem pole, you've got 30 million illegal aliens, of which 15 million are adults, who are willing to work for $2 an hour less than you are. And might live, 3 families to a house or something like that, or 20 men to a house. I mean, you know what goes on.